All right. You ready?
Ready.
Let's do this. Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Noah.
And I'm Richard.
And today we are going to be talking about another one of our favorite Pixar movies today, Inside Out.
One of his favorite
Okay,
Pixar movies,
fine.
Inside Out.
Oh, thanks. Okay. Just gonna throw me under the bus like that. I see how it is.
So, a long time ago, Noah said to his mother and father, "You need to watch this movie."
No. What happened was, Mom came to me and said, "Hey, I've been seeing this new Pixar movie, Inside Out, around. I was wondering if we should pick it up and watch it." And me, having seen it in theaters, said, "Oh yeah, you should watch that. It's a really good movie."
I hate you. I love the movie. It was a wonderful movie. In retrospect, the first time I watched this movie, I sat through the first, hour and 15 minutes of the hour and 30-minute movie, something like that, three-quarters of it, and was kind of like, this is... And then they got to the emotional part. And then the waterworks started. And I can only tell you this. When you said you wanted to talk about this movie, my very first thought was, shit.
I have to watch it again.
Movies aren't supposed to hurt when you're watching them. Movies are not supposed to make you cry so hard that your sinuses are stuffed up for a week and that you give yourself a low-grade migraine.
I would disagree, but to each his own on that one.
You know, and so the movie broke through the curmudgeon in me.
Yep.
And tapped the soul in a real strong way, and I hit you for it.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And this movie is honestly, in my opinion, it's one of Pixar's best. It seems to have done really well. It seems to be very well liked. So I'm going to pose the question, could this be considered Pixar's magnum opus? From a technical, from a storytelling, from an animation standpoint, from an emotional standpoint. Now, this is a bold claim. That's why I'm not claiming it. That's why I'm posing it as a question.
Okay.
Because there's other great movies that Pixar has made. You and I both love The Incredibles. It's probably my favorite Pixar movie is the original Incredibles, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Per se. You have to be able to look at these things objectively. Finding Nemo is another great one that also has a pretty good emotional story to it. You know, father lost his son. The Toy Story movies are pretty good overall, and 3 also hit that same, at the very end when they're all about to get burned, you know? Yeah. Coco, which you haven't seen, that one also has some fun emotional storytelling in it. And it's also just a gorgeous movie, so... we need to watch that and talk about that.
Well, it's hard for me to say that this is Pixar's finest because I have not seen all of Pixar's movies.
This is also true.
And so I can't really address that claim. And we had the conversation about Incredibles 2, whether or not it was the best sequel made, and how good of a movie was it, and we both absolutely loved that movie.
Yeah.
It's hard to compare the two movies because they're so drastically different, right? Yeah. However, what did Inside Out have that the other Disney movies didn't?
Well,
Inside Out gave the writing team this blank palette of unlimited imaginative abilities to take the inner workings of the mind and characterize it in a way that is easily identifiable, easily understandable, and just as imaginative as all get out.
And let's I want to appreciate this for a second. Psychology is a very, very intense subject. Like, if you actually start reading into, like, psychology and the terms that they use for the inner workings of the mind and the way that it describes things, this movie hits some, like, major, like, the idea of your, was it abstract thought? When they go through the abstract thought where they start morphing?
Yes.
It's like, how did you make this so funny for adults and still so entertaining for kids? They took something as weird as abstract thought.
I have to wonder. I mean,
and put it in a way that kids could potentially understand.
I just wondering as you're talking, I'm wondering how many children were slightly traumatized by this movie, the way I was by the Oompa Loompas when I first saw them in theater.
Kids deserve pain. I don't. Kids deserve to be scared.
The next time you complain about your childhood, I'm going to remind you of that comment.
I grew up on Thomas the Tank Engine, okay? You know how much freaky crap is in that show? The animatronics have soulless eyes! I grew up hardened. Kids these days can deal with it.
By Thomas. Okay, well.
There's a boulder with a face on it that almost killed Percy, okay? I was traumatized.
Well.
There's a boulder with a face on it that almost killed Percy, okay? I was traumatized.
Oh no! Heading straight for me! Squeaked Percy.
We're getting off topic. Let's get back to this.
Well, there are. We could spend the whole episode praising the creativity, the gorgeous animation that took place in this, in the creativity. There's a message to this movie.
Oh yeah.
And the message is one that tugs at the heartstrings a little bit. That is a message that ultimately everybody needs to know.
Yeah.
Is that sadness and sorrow has a purpose.
Yes.
And that if we try to live our life always trying to be joyous and happy, we're going to stunt our own emotional growth. We are going to stunt our own development. If we require that of our children, they're not going to grow up emotionally healthy, balanced people. Sometimes you have to cry.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to be sad. And it's very clear that in this movie, the message is you have to allow yourself to go through that, because sometimes it is the answer to the situation.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And they do this so masterfully on a couple different levels, to the point where it actually makes my head hurt when I try to consider it. So I'm going to try to describe this without giving myself a migraine.
Okay.
But you have a two-layer story here. At base, Inside Out is the story of a girl who gets taken from her home, moves to a new location, hates it, tries to run away, realizes she's made a mistake, and comes back.
Right.
That's Riley. That's Riley's story. But it's two different stories. It's Riley's story, and it's Joy's story, slash Sadness's story on the inside of her mind. So you've got a very simple plot of a girl running away from home, realizing her mistake, coming back, but that isn't the core story. It's obviously not the story. It's a backdrop. It's a plot device, because you could consider this movie one of two different ways. Either everything the emotions do is what causes Riley to go through everything that she goes through, or everything that Riley is going through is just manifested and being portrayed by the emotions and everything that's happening to him. So either Riley controls the emotions, like her actions affect the emotions, or the emotions' actions affect Riley, which is really trippy to think about. But I prefer to think that the emotions are like the ones controlling, because it makes it way easier for me to think about. You have Joy, this emotion, having character development. You have a character that's supposedly one aspect of someone's personality growing and maturing and changing over time, which is just, I don't know, that's just really cool to me. It's really cool having to learn that, she can't, she's a control freak.
Right.
It's basically...
She is a control
freak because she wants Riley to be happy.
Right.
So, and then realizing that it's important for Riley to have the, emotional maturity, growing up, realizing, hey, it's possible for a memory to be happy and sad at the same time, and that it's really important to be able to have these things. And man, I'm just thinking about that ending now.
Okay,
You take over.
So for a moment, one of the things we've always talked about, if we get an interruption, let's address it. Come here. Come on up, because everybody has noticed I'm petting a dog down here, and well, now I'm not going to be able to get her to come up. But this is Birdie. She's our studio dog, and for all of our recordings, she has been just curled up on the floor asleep, just wanting to be close. But this morning, Birdie thought I wasn't paying attention, and she stole a piece of toast off a plate on the kitchen table, and I caught her, and now she's trying to earn her way back into good graces. That's why she's interrupting us this morning. So it's time for you to go lay down. I think that because Inside Out gave such an unlimited imaginative world to work in, some of the things that I truly appreciated was the fact that they took a dive into the emotional workings of so many other characters. I love the fact that every emotion in Dad's brain had the same mustache. I just lost it. I loved the trip inside Mom's brain where we superimposed the boyfriend that almost was.
They pulled the memory.
Yeah, I was delighted by that. My favorite, because it was so accurate. My favorite, because it so captured what it means to be a teenage boy, was the trip inside the young man's brain when he sees Riley at the ice rink. Girl! Which... Too accurate, too.
It's so accurate. It's so accurate.
So I enjoyed all those little things. There's a couple things that I didn't appreciate. The death of the imaginative friend, while you've got the obligatory self-sacrifice so that the child can be saved. Many of us have the imaginary friend. We don't remember who they are. It's a painful truth of growing up.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't even remember who your imaginary friend was. I don't even remember if you had one.
I sure is
right.
No, which might just give more credence to the to Bing Bong dying in a in subconsciousness.
I think the outside of the obligatory self-sacrifice scene, which is like, yeah, okay, you got it. It advances the story. Nice plot. I think the one thing that the emotions should have known, maybe not, because we're talking about a 13-year-old girl, is that memories that go into the core dump aren't lost forever. And there's once you go through life where someone says, "Hey, do you remember?" and you have to think about it for a minute, and you dredge up a memory that would have otherwise been in the core dump, they do come back. I would have thought that the emotions would have known that by that point in life, but maybe not.
I think it was more like they were getting rid of like minor things, like do you remember what you had for breakfast last Tuesday, right?
Got me on that one.
I think that's a little more what they're trying to.
Going for. Some of those things. When the big memory centers were crashing and falling, when imaginative world was crashing and falling, when you knew they were coming back.
Oh yeah,
and you knew that they would come back different but strong.
Yeah, because she's a girl. Or a young child, sorry. I meant to say a young girl who's growing and changing.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just think that it's part of human nature. You don't lose those things forever unless there is extreme trauma, and this was not that level of trauma.
No.
So an absolute delight. I so thoroughly enjoyed watching it a second time that I turned on a palate cleanser, an emotional palate cleanser for me, the French film 22 Bullets, which is a French mafia film starring that one French actor that everybody knows and nobody knows his name. I think it's Jean Reno. or Renault, if you're
Pretentious.
yeah, and he's
Or
in
French.
He's in.
But I repeat myself.
he's in every movie filmed in Europe, and this was just a mafia film that had far more than 22 bullets. But you know what? It didn't have a single scene in it that made me cry, and so it was the perfect palate cleanser after watching Inside Out for the second time, which. I knew what was coming, and I still had a hard time keeping the waterworks off. And I mean, that's a hallmark of a good film. I think that if I watch Inside Out once every 5 or 6 years, maybe wait till the grandkids are growing up, I'll probably enjoy it as much. And I was able to appreciate the movie more the second time than the first time. I really did. So in that aspect, I'm grateful that we looked over it. Is it the best? I don't know. Voice actors, fantastic.
Yeah. The acting in this was. I love everything anger in this.
Okay,
and disgust. Those are probably my two favorite characters in all this, and I love at the very end where disgust is starting to make anger mad, she's doing what he does, and then he starts flaming, and she just flips down a welder's mask.
Oh yeah, that was hysterical.
I don't know why that scene gets me, but just the look on Disgust's face was just so entertaining. It was just like.
Well, and that's the perfect age for a girl to come into mastering disgust, as they do.
And I love how they didn't necessarily portray these emotions as always negative. Very, very early in the movie, Joy's disgust, make sure we're looking good, we're dressed and all that, and it was actually a very positive look on that emotion. It's if you were putting on an outfit and you looked in the mirror and said, "Oh, that's bad." It looks bad, I don't like that, take it off, change into something new, that would be a positive use of the disgust emotion.
Here's a concept. Your emotions aren't in competition with each other.
No.
They are invested in the success of the person. As portrayed in the movie.
Yeah.
And so they are mini three-dimensional characters.
Yeah.
You don't get the character study in anger and disgust and fear that you get with joy and sadness.
Because because in a child's life, those are two very, very powerful emotions.
They're almost the only emotions.
Almost the only emotions, with anger being the big exception. Not a lot of children have the level of fear and disgust that an adult would. So it'd be interesting to come back in a few years if Pixar ever made an Inside Out 2. It'd have to be really freaking good, because I don't know what they would do from here on out. It'd be interesting to come back and see some of these three.
Right. Well, I
have a bigger role.
I like playing Guess the Voice, and I failed on almost every account in playing Guess the Voice. I absolutely love Lewis Black. His comedy is hysterical. I'm not a particular fan of the politics that he injects in his comedy, but the man is his delivery and his observations on life. I truly enjoy. And
I didn't realize half this cast.
Well,
I didn't look them up until just now.
So
okay.
Now, but before we even go any further, there's something that I have to say, and I'm not the only person who has noticed this, because I found a whole thread on it on the internet. You ever watch a movie and you say to yourself, "Who is that? Who is that? I recognize that person." Okay. Now, when you start playing, I recognize that character with an animated character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Margot grew up, left Gru, moved to Minnesota, and became mom to Riley. And I'm not the only one to notice. Two different animation companies, two different movies, but if you do a side-by-side comparison of Margot from Despicable Me and the mom in Inside Out, you're going to see Margot grew up and moved to Minnesota.
Right. Yeah.
And started talking through her nose. Why is it that so many characters, just not as much as Mrs. Incredible, but why do so many character voice actresses and actors speak nasally.
I don't know. If anyone knows that, please let us know, because I honestly do not know.
Did you notice it?
Not really, I'll be honest. I'll be really honest, I didn't really notice.
Okay.
Mostly because the mom doesn't have that big of a role in the movie. She has that little bit, and I don't know.
The mom and
I don't
dad
pick up on that.
The mom and dad have very stereotypical parent roles, but
Yeah.
as a parent, and you will, if you're blessed, experience this one day. As a parent, you recognize exactly what's going on, and in fact, the dad. You know, the whole bit inside his head. Get ready to put the foot down. Get ready to deploy the foot. You know? Yeah, I have been there with all 3 children and a couple of dogs. So, but you were saying about
I didn't know that these were so I recognized a few of the voices sounded familiar, but again, it was kind of guess that actor, guess that actress. Amy Poehler was in Parks and Rec. I've seen some of Parks and Rec.
Right.
It's like The Office. I know a lot of people hate when you do that, but I mean, it wasn't bad. I didn't watch that much of it, so I don't know. And then an actual two Office actresses, Phyllis Smith,
Yes.
is Sadness,
Yes.
and Mindy Kaling. Is it Kaling?
I think it's Kaling.
I think it's Kaling. Is Disgust, which
I never
let's be
would have
real,
guessed that
I
one.
never would have guessed
would've
that one, but
you know.
let spot on. Spot on. Perfect actress for the role, because with her performance in The Office, that's the exact
I was never impressed by her performance in The Office, but the critical reviews that she gets for her writing and for her other material, apparently she's very talented, and she's right. And if Disgust is any reflection of her abilities, spot on.
Can I point out the irony of having the Pennywise actor play Fear? Bill Hader.
Oh yeah. I had no idea.
That just it tickles something. That was funny. That was funny.
There were a bunch of actors that I never would have guessed. The voice actor for Dad, Kyle
MacLachlan.
Yeah, the guy from
McLachlan.
Dune. Yeah, I can never pronounce his last name.
MacLachlan.
Okay.
You got a break at Scottish if you want. Oh, say that name. I'm very sorry to anyone Scottish who just watched that and listened to me butcher your accent.
It's usually
with taste.
It's usually better than that.
It is usually better than that.
So back to your original question. I think I need to leave the answer to your original question up to our commenters, the people watching, and I need to withhold judgment until I see more movies. And you had recommended Coco as being a movie to watch.
I highly recommend Coco as well, because it falls into a similar vein as Inside Out.
There are. I think I think Inside Out shows the maturity of the Pixar team. Mm-hmm. I think that they have grown. They're when you look at Cars, which was an excellent movie.
It's a good movie. Yeah.
I don't. The sequels, 2
was bad. 2 was just flat out bad.
Right. You take a look at the Incredibles. You look at the Toy Story movies, which are excellent movies. But I think you see of the fully developed maturity of their creative staff, their writing staff, their animation team.
Mm-hmm. This is Pixar when they're allowed to be Pixar. And I think I think a lot of people had forgotten what Pixar was supposed to be like, because you had the Cars 2. And you had a couple of cash grabs that seemed like Disney was trying to make the money they spent on the studio back.
Gotcha.
And Cars 2 was pretty critically panned, and audience-wise it didn't do too well.
Right.
It sold a bunch of toys because vroom vroom, and it has missiles now. Vroom. Mater is can fly now because, yeah, the focus of our sequel movie to a sports racer being humbled should be the goofy sidekick becoming a spy. Yeah, that was... Yeah, and that really lost a lot of people, I think, but this is what happens when you let creative people and talented people do their thing. You get movies like this.
Yes.
You get movies with heart, you get movies with imagination, you get movies that just, they make you feel things, like sadness and happiness.
If the creative team at Pixar wants to do a follow-up of Inside Out, they need to follow the formula that they did with Incredibles 2. They need to wait. They need to wait till they have a quality story worth telling. They need to have something that is, as we've talked in the past, it advances the characters. It shows character growth and development. And here we're talking about character growth and development on such a multifaceted level that, you've got Mom, you've got Dad, you've got Riley, and you've got 5 major emotions inside Riley's who all have to come back. And I think that it would be nice, it would be a nice hat tip to Richard Kind to have her remember her imaginary friend. Because his work on the character was fantastic, and I don't think the movie would be the same without him coming back.
It was a fun character too, and that was really, I think that character encapsulates. I can't enunciate the entire movie. Like the amount of creativity just went into that character. Like, that makes so much sense that a 3-year-old girl would think up a cotton candy cat, elephant, dolphin that cries candy, has a magic bag, and a rocket.
Speaking of that, Cloud City was hysterical. The wife looking for her husband, talking to the police, absolutely hysterical. Those little moments, I don't know where they come from. A group of writers sitting in a room giggling, coming up and throwing out ideas, and they must
I hope they're just
killed themselves laughing when they came up with that. But back to my original idea. Take your time. Take 10 years. Take 15 years if you have to, because it's animation. You have to worry that your older voice actors might pass away. Louis Black is up there in years. However.
As Incredibles and the Toy Story movies show, it's not the Pixar has an animation style that even to this day, the original Toy Story, while it looks bad by Toy Story 3 standards, still looks good.
Well, it's
not bad.
It's not only the animation style, it's the fact that because it's animation, you can capture any age. You can wait 15 years and show Riley going off to college. You're not trapped into Riley being in her middle 20s. Right? And so you can do anything you want. Find the story that's worth telling, and then tell that story, because the people will come back. This was a good movie. People would watch an Inside Out too. I would watch an Inside Out too, based on the quality of this after the experience of Incredibles 2. And here Pixar might have set the standard for sequels. You wait, you don't do a cash grab, you take your time, you get the story worth telling, you bring as many of the original actors back to reprise their roles, and you put together a good quality movie. And based on Incredibles 2, I would take a chance on Inside Out too. I think I would take a chance on it, and it looks like, honestly, on a budget of $175 million, this movie made $858 million. So that's some good change. I think it's fair to say that audiences would go back for a round 2. Yes, as long as they do it right, and I think that the audience have become pretty savvy to the fact that rushed sequels aren't. I think people, with the exception of Star Wars, where time did not do anything to prevent everyone from being burned. I pushed his buttons. It's so much fun to do.
Guess what? Next week we're talking about why the sequels suck. Have a good day. Bye.
Completely unrehearted.
Next week!
Completely unrehearsed.
Last Jedi sucks. Why it sucks. Ah! I don't care if that's cash grabby. I don't care. We're doing it.
Did you get that out of your system?
End recording.
Well, thank you for tuning in to this week's edition of Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Richard. The guy stomping around the family room is Noah. We love sharing the conversations that we normally have with you because this is just a peek into what is a regular occurrence for us.
Thanks for sitting down at the kitchen table with us to have these tableside conversations. Come join us next week as I rant about the sequel trilogy.
And I will just have a cardboard cutout of me in the chair with a pencil and a coffee mug in its hand. We would love to hear your thoughts on Inside Out too, so please, if you like what you're watching, hit the subscribe button that's somewhere down here. Share our channel with your friends. Leave a comment. As always, be respectful. We will be respectful in return. Be disrespectful, we'll probably just delete you out of existence.
Or I'll just be very savage. Depends on the comment.
Well, no.
At least if you're gonna insult us, be creative about it. Because I've heard a lot. I've heard a lot.
We do truly appreciate the fact that you've chosen to spend some time with us. And you good?
I'm good.
All right, maybe a smaller can of Monster next time. Bye.
Bye. See, whenever you talk, your voice peaks higher than mine. I think you just talk louder than I do.
I have a stronger voice than you.
Well, thanks.
Well, no, I do. I project, and I speak with a slightly more authoritative tone.
Oh, dang.
Well, I do. It's my teacher voice.
All right. I have a teacher voice. All the other classes go on during karate class hate me because I drown out all their instruction. It's become a goal for every week.
I know.
Is to have my class drown out their class. I say, hey, if they can't learn, you're doing a good job. That's